The mystery fifth member of Team Bianca Belair at Survivor Series in War Games may have possibly been revealed. Plus, we've got an update on Karl and the Good Brother status with New Japan Pro Wrestling with their next appearance for the promotion being announced. Scripts is finally revealed on last night's edition of NXT. Dijak makes his return to the developmental brand. Plus, more details on the Iron Survivor concept coming to NXT very soon. Mia Yim had her name changed and now reversed after the Raw debacle this week. Speaking of Raw, we got the ratings for Monday night's episode, plus an update on Montez's forward health. And was Damian Priest just nearly, in Black Panther Wakanda Forever? Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of WWE. Now, we're starting off with the WWE news screen, and that is because major spoilers could be laying ahead here. So if you do want to not be spoiled for Survivor Series this coming Saturday, of course, it's going to be a Peacock live, a premium live event on Peacock Plus around the world on pay-per-view, WWE Network, etc. The mystery is still who is going to be the fifth participant on Team Bianca Belair in the Women's War Games match. Well, we may have a final answer as to who it's going to be, who the mystery partner is going to be. And if you don't want to be spoiled, we'll give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It would appear that the man will be coming back around this coming Saturday at Survivor Series because we have a potential WWE spoiler regarding Becky Lynch. All signs point to the man coming around at Survivor Series on Saturday. According to PW Insider, Becky Lynch, quote, is slated to be at Survivor Series this Saturday, putting her, quote, in pole position of being unveiled as the fifth and final member of Bianca Belair's War Games team. As noted previously, Belair announced Monday that her team's mystery partner will be revealed on WWE SmackDown this Friday, barely 24 hours before the historic Women's War Games bout in Boston, Massachusetts. The report added there's no word yet on a potential of Naomi, Charlotte Flair, or Sasha Banks returning at Survivor Series to join Team Bianca. All three names, of course, have been off WWE television since May. Lynch being unveiled as Belair's teammate would make a ton of sense from a storyline perspective, seeing as the two women shared a warm embrace on the Raw after SummerSlam, where Big Time Bex announced she had suffered a separated shoulder. The segment also saw Lynch bringing back her The Man persona and turning babyface as she praised Belair for carrying the WWE Women's Division, acknowledging that the EST got the better of her in their year-long rivalry. Furthermore, though, The Man was written off WWE television after being ambushed by Damage Control, the team that Belair and co will be facing off against on Saturday. As such, Lynch returning to settle the score with Bayley and co gives her storyline purpose to join Belair's War Games team. Earlier on Monday, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select also reported that Lynch was expected to be the fifth member of Team Bianca's War Games squad. If Lynch does make her return on SmackDown on Friday, it could possibly mean she'll be assigned to the blue brand going forward. According to several reports, Lynch versus SmackDown Women's Champion Ronda Rousey is one of WWE's working plans for WrestleMania 39 in Inglewood, California, of course, where WrestleMania goes Hollywood next year. So, look, from a storyline perspective, makes a ton of sense. Obviously, I know people are talking about Sasha Banks, Naomi, Charlotte Flair. I think this is the smart thing to do by WWE, not so much so to drive interest or drive viewers to watch Survivor Series on Saturday, because people are going to be watching that anyway. People are going to be tuning in. It's the first War Games match on the main roster. Survivor Series is a big event anyway. Not as big as it used to be historically, but certainly it's the Thanksgiving full-time classic tradition by WWE, so people will tune in regardless, and it doesn't really matter about streams or pay-per-view buys anymore because they've already got NBC Universal's money. It doesn't matter so much about that. I think the reason that they would reveal this on Friday is twofold. One being, they want to pop a rating for SmackDown. It's the go-home episode of SmackDown heading into Survivor Series, and network television, Fox, if they can pop a rating, Fox will be very happy with that. But I think the most important aspect of this is to temper expectations, pretty much, because what you have to look at is that Survivor Series this coming Saturday is in Boston, Massachusetts. It is in the hometown of Sasha Banks, the boss, the former SmackDown and Raw Women's Champion. And if you go into that event teasing a mystery surprise and it's not Sasha Banks, not that the crowd would turn, but it might not generate the reaction that maybe WWE was looking for. And because of that, if it was never going to be Sasha Banks, again, they want to make sure they handle this correctly. They don't want to promise something that isn't going to happen, even though they never promised it. This is always a back and forth between wrestling fans on social media. When fans in their minds think that a surprise or a reveal is going to be a certain way and then it isn't, you then get the complaints of, well, they never announced it was going to be Sasha Banks, so why have you got your hopes up? But then the pushback is, well, they should have known that people thought it could be Sasha Banks, and because of that, it's important that they temper expectations. So I think that having Becky Lynch return on SmackDown on Friday makes sense. Again, from a storyline perspective, she was taken out by Damage Control. It would be a much quicker return and recovery than previously expected. Previously, it was thought she might return at the end of December, late December. We are heading into December, but this is still early in terms of the schedule, the timetable for her return from that separated shoulder. She did not have surgery. She rehabbed it, and that's why she's been able to return so quickly, if indeed she does this coming Friday. But also, you could argue as well, maybe Sasha Banks is still slated to return on Saturday. Maybe the thought process also is, actually, you know what? What if we say Becky Lynch is the final participant, she competes in War Games, and everyone thinks, well, Sasha Banks definitely isn't returning then, because Becky Lynch is the mystery participant, she's the mystery partner, they're focused on the match, and then at the end, Sasha Banks does return on Saturday. It's an even bigger surprise that people didn't see coming. So that could be where WWE is going with it, but at the same time, Sasha Banks looks to be very focused on outside projects, whether it's music, acting, fashion, you name it. So maybe it's just a case of Sasha Banks isn't planning to return anytime soon. She has been backstage recently at a WWE live event, so that's certainly a possibility that she is on good terms with the company. But as I mentioned, when it comes to Becky Lynch, she seems like the most likely outcome right now. We'll have to wait and see Friday in 48 hours' time if indeed these reports are correct. Let's talk about Karl Anderson and New Japan Pro Wrestling, the ongoing saga and drama that is the Good Brothers status with New Japan. With Machine Gun Karl Anderson deciding to rejoin his friend AJ Styles in WWE alongside his tag team partner Luke Gallows, controversy immediately followed as the star held the New Japan Never Openweight Championship, creating an intriguing situation as to whether or not he'd be forced to relinquish the bout or appear for the company as a signed WWE talent. As the current champion, Anderson has unfortunately failed to meet the requirements of defending the bout, but has yet to relinquish the gold, causing, quote, issues between him and his former company. But New Japan had reportedly been contemplating breaking tradition to accommodate Anderson. Although he has yet to do so, Anderson has stated he will go back and defend the championship before the end of 2022. An unusual move for WWE superstars. Anderson won the bout in June, but re-signed with the WWE in October, making this situation difficult for both companies. But in an update to the situation, Anderson stated on his Instagram account that his return will come on Wednesday, December 14 for the World Tag League / Super Junior Tag League Finals, stating, quote, the greatest never openweight champion of all time will be defending his bout. In the video, other OC members Gallows and Styles appeared, with former IWGP World Champion Styles approving of the move. Anderson's previous title defense was expected to be against Hikuleo on November 5th at New Japan's Battle Autumn event, but due to WWE's booking of Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia, Anderson was forced to pull out and work for his new company that night. Now, when it comes to these details surrounding Anderson's future with New Japan, we have a latest report on that as well. His last defense of that IWGP Never Openweight Championship was actually against Hiroshi Tanahashi during New Japan Pro Wrestling's Burning Spirit event in September. Anderson, as I mentioned, was scheduled to put his title on the line again on November 5th at Battle Autumn against Hikuleo, but that didn't happen because of Crown Jewel. Despite this, Anderson was not stripped of the Never title, despite that being a standard response to a missed title defense in New Japan, and the match between the rivals has been rescheduled. Now there is an update regarding Anderson's status going forward. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select is reporting that New Japan had prior knowledge that Anderson and his tag team partner Luke Gallows were making their way back to WWE in August. The gears were then reportedly set in motion in order to allow Anderson to work dates around his WWE schedule and advance storylines up until and after he defends his Never Openweight Championship at the World Tag League Super Junior Tag League Finals on December 14. Moreover, Fightful has mentioned that Anderson has, quote, always been penciled on and planning planning to work the Tokyo Dome show on January 4th, 2023. He and Gallows had committed to working these dates before they even left Impact Wrestling. Anderson and Gallows made their return to WWE on the October 10 edition of Raw to provide backup for AJ Styles. Of course, they were previously released by the company in April of 2020. They've wrestled for the likes of Impact, AEW, and New Japan in their time away from the company. So it would appear that this has always been the plan. This has always been the scheduled way of things. It's going to be fascinating, I think, to see if they do appear at Wrestle Kingdom in January of next year, because if that is the case, that will be a really unprecedented event in pro wrestling history. Not the Good Brothers showing up, but who appears on that show and which companies they're contracted to will be the first time we've ever seen anything like this. There is a possibility, if the Good Brothers do work that New Japan show at the Tokyo Dome, Wrestle Kingdom 17 on January 4th next year, you will have talent that are signed to New Japan, talents that signed to AEW, because we know that Kenny Omega is facing Will Ospreay for the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship at that show too, and the Good Brothers who are contracted to WWE. So you could see this pro wrestling super show, this super card that features talent signed to New Japan, AEW, and WWE. The top 3 companies in the world could all be competing on one card in Japan, in the Tokyo Dome. That would certainly be wild. But it would appear when it comes to the Good Brothers, their plans of New Japan were mapped out even prior to them signing with WWE. New Japan had knowledge they were going to sign with WWE, and the schedule has been accommodated to reflect that. So any kind of beef that you see between the two companies or between Anderson and New Japan is entirely scripted and planned ahead of time, and they are fine with what is happening going forward. Let's talk about NXT. A mystery has been revealed, and a former 24/7 champion has been re-debuted as Scripps in NXT. Now, Reggie, the longest reigning 24/7 champion in WWE history, re-debuted as the mysterious Scripps on last night's episode of NXT. Ahead of his match against Guru Raj, Scripps, wearing an orange mask, made a unique entrance as he walked out through a virtual mirror before jumping on the barricade and making certain hand gestures to the audience. He would then cartwheel his way to the ring from the barricade, showing off some of the agility that made him an attraction at Cirque du Soleil before he joined the world of pro wrestling. In a quick match, Scripps delivered some fast-paced offense before hitting a spinning roundhouse kick and delivering a flipping senton on Raj for the pinfall victory. After the match, he left a yellow calling card on top of Raj's chest before posing to the crowd. Though Scripps never unmasked himself, there is little doubt amongst fans on social media as to who he is. It's clearly Reggie. On commentary, Vic Joseph and Booker T praised Scripps for his unique combination offense and athleticism, but did not suggest the possibility of the mystery wrestler being Reggie. This is something, again, these vignettes that have been airing, I think, since October. To be honest, look, Reggie is obviously very talented and athletic, and I think he made the best of difficult situations when it came to the 24/7 championship. But for me, that look is ridiculous. I can't describe it any other way. That mask is wild, and it's just one of these weird pro wrestling isms that you would have thought would have gone away with Vince McMahon being gone, whereby they just don't address the past. That's clearly Reggie. Who? I don't know who you're talking about. Ready who? And Shawn Michaels in a recent media call said, we're not going to insult your intelligence by pretending they weren't something before or they don't have a history in wrestling. There was no reference to Reggie throughout the entirety of all of this. It's clearly Reggie, and this was a vignette. This was a character that had somewhat of a buzz of people interested to see who it was, what it was going to be, and it felt very dark. And watching that last night felt anything but dark, to be honest with you. It just felt, again, bizarre. And I don't know, realistically, what legs this character has at this point. You know, he was spray painting on walls, and now he comes out dressed like that. This one has a long way to go for me, but let me know your thoughts on the reveal of Reggie as Scripps on last night's NXT. Speaking of returns, Dijak is back. Now, this is a return I can get behind. An Unleashed Dijak is seeking retribution. See what I did there? During the closing stages of last night's NXT, a virtual prison cell opened near the entrance area, following which Dijak was in the ring to confront NXT North American champion Wes Lee, who had just retained his title against Carmelo Hayes in the main event. Dijak then hit his signature Feast Your Eyes finishing move on Lee as the show went off the air. Fans in the arena immediately recognized the former T-Bar and began a loud Dijak chant as Vic Joseph on commentary noted that Dijak has brought his brand of justice to NXT. The veteran wrestler would later confirm he will be going by the name Dijak going forward, as can be seen by a tweet on his social media page. The repackaged return of Dijak shouldn't come as much of a surprise. For several weeks, NXT have been airing vignettes of a mystery man bringing his own brand of high justice to NXT, which included several references to Dijak's stint as a member of the Retribution faction. Furthermore, PW Insider report confirmed earlier this month that Dijak had been internally added to the NXT roster under the name Donovan Dijak, which had previously been a name used during promotions such as Ring of Honor. But I think Dijak works as a better name, to be honest, with him going forward. And again, I'm really happy. I'm a big fan of Dominik Dijakovic. I think his athleticism, his matches he had with Keith Lee during NXT, prior to NXT, were absolutely fantastic. And hopefully he gets the spotlight that he deserves. And it's a perfect case of someone that, if you're not using him on the main roster, use him in NXT. He's got a lot to offer. He can get over, and he can get other talent over as well. So really excited to see what Dijak does on NXT moving forward. This is an interesting one. This is an update on this Iron Survivor Challenge and the participants. Shawn Michaels, WWE Senior Vice President of Talent Developmental Creative, will return on next week's NXT to announce the participants for the inaugural Iron Survivor Challenge scheduled for the Deadline Premium Live event. As noted previously, two 25-minute Iron Survivor Challenges will now pit 5 NXT superstars against each other to determine number 1 contenders for the NXT Championship and NXT Women's Championship. While 2 superstars will start the match, a new superstar will enter every 5 minutes until all 5 competitors are in the ring. The superstar with the most falls via pinfall, submission, or disqualification at the 25-minute mark will be declared the winner of the Iron Survivor Challenge. While each fall will reward a superstar 1 point, they will be penalized when they're on the receiving end of the fall, being forced into a penalty box for a duration of 90 seconds. The penalized superstar will then be allowed to re-enter the ring at the end of their 90-second penalty. The entire rules for the match can be seen on WWE social media. While there's no backstage news on the participants in the 2 Iron Survivor Challenge matches, fans have floated names such as Carmelo Hayes, Von Wagner, and the returning Dijak on the men's side, and the likes of Cora Jade, Elektra Lopez, and Roxanne Perez for the women's side of things as well. This match, in my opinion, has the potential to become very convoluted, as has been the case. I mean, and you've always got to try things, new match types. You never know what's really going to, kick off, or get momentum. But at the same time, this does feel like it could get convoluted. If it's like an Iron Man mixed with a championship scramble, mixed with a King of the Mountain match with being penalized. Again, whether this works or not will remain to be seen. My concern is it could get very convoluted and messy, but we'll have to wait and see. Mia Yim, there's an update on Mia Yim and this name change that seemingly she had on Raw this week. Less than 24 hours after WWE officially changed Mia Yim's ring name to Michin on its website, it appears to be back to Mia Yim once again. Yim even confirmed the ring name change on Tuesday on the 10 Count podcast. She noted during the interview that Michin was a nickname within the OC. They told her that she needed one, and she used Michin because it's something that her mother called her when she was a child. Michin means crazy in Korean. Yim also shared the name change on Twitter. WWE also filed to trademark the name Michin a few weeks ago, but now it appears that they've kind of moved back to it, and it could just be a nickname for her moving forward. It's a very Vince McMahon change, because WWE doesn't want to have names that aren't trademarked or owned by the company, and maybe it's something that Triple H agrees with, but at the same time, she is known as Mia Yim. She was also known as Reckoning on the main roster too, so I don't know if this is just going to be a nickname. I don't know if they're going to explain the name change moving forward. We'll see. We'll have to wait and see for that one. Talk about the ratings for this week's edition of Raw. Of course, the Survivor Series go-home show. And Raw barely slipped in the ratings in comparison to the previous week. Showbuzz Daily shared viewership information for Monday, and the November 21 episode of Raw had an average of 1.646 million viewers. That's a little less than 2,000 fewer than last week's number of 1.648 million, which isn't even close to a 1% dip. The key demographic, however, did suffer a downturn. Monday's episode garnered a 0.41 18-49 rating, a 5% drop from last week's episode. Raw came in 7th for cable originals for the evening, being ousted by the top spot by, you guessed it, Monday Night Football on ESPN, which featured a special game hailing from Mexico City as the San Francisco 49ers and the Arizona Cardinals faced off. Looking back a year before, Raw is down though in terms of total viewership and the key demographic. The November 2021 episode of Raw roped in 1.7 million viewers on average, 3% more than this past Monday. The key demographic was a 0.41, which is actually 49 rather, which is a 16% increase from Monday Night 2. So I think that this is a combination of several factors. I think it's Raw wasn't bad, but it wasn't really newsworthy either, and I think that's part of it. I think obviously they're struggling against the football coverage, and also having an international game I think factored into that too. There's obviously a lot of stuff going on in the world of sport at the moment, the World Cup too, and with cable news as well. So I think there's a variety of factors at play here. I know obviously the World Cup wasn't going live against Raw, but still there's lots going on at this time of the year, and historically the ratings aren't terribly great for WWE anyway, but it's something they'll certainly want to keep an eye out on. Damian Priest was nearly in the release at the moment, easy for me to say, Black Panther film, for a really major role he was actually auditioned for. Fightful Select, Sean Ross Sapp is reporting that Priest had been approached by the producers of Marvel Studios' film Black Panther Wakanda Forever while the film had been in production. Priest was reportedly asked to read for 2 roles, including the role of Namor, the Talokan king that served as the film's main antagonist. Despite being approached, Fightful was unable to confirm whether Priest ever did a reading or an audition for Namor or another proposed role, which Fightful was also unable to confirm. As many can be seen who have seen Wakanda Forever, Priest was not ultimately cast in that role. Tenoch Huerta was cast as Namor instead, but certainly you could see it. I think he'd have been a good Namor, I think. I don't know how good of an actor he is, but it would have been really interesting. He's got the look, certainly, but ultimately he did not get that role, but an interesting bit of trivia nevertheless. Finally, we have an update on Montez Ford. He's provided an update on his injury status. During the October 3rd episode of Raw, Ford was seen wearing a boot on his foot. As it turns out, one half of the Street Profits has been dealing with a calf injury. Not much had been known about Ford's status other than he was forced to miss TV time due to the injury. Ford and his wife, Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair, recently appeared on NBC's Today Show. During his appearance, Ford revealed his current status. He said, quote, 100% now. I should be back pretty soon. I just picking my spots and making sure, like when I arrive, the mission is still at hand, which is what my right-hand man, 100 grand Angelo Dawkins, that's being the undisputed tag team champions. According to CageMatch.net, Ford's last match took place during a Saturday night's main event show, which is a house show inside the Pacific Coliseum in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Back on September 24, he teamed with Dawkins to take on Alpha Academy. The Profits did win that match. It was previously reported that WWE was considering a singles run for Ford. We'll have to wait and see if they do pick up on that when he indeed does return. But there you go, guys. That's the latest WWE news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Let me know your thoughts on today's WWE news stories in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.